You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. And I've got some really special guests in the house. It's been at least a month for one of them and several months for the other two. So I'm going to let them both introduce themselves, or all three introduce themselves. And I'll start out with Laura.
All right. Well, I'm Laura Ansel. I'm the Marketing and Engagement Coordinator with the City of Northport Parks and Recreation. And I'm joined by our fine folks today from the Aquatic Center. So I'll let Trish, you want to take it away?
Sure. I am the Aquatic Facilities Manager here in the City of Northport. And Devon, our supervisor of the Aquatics facility here, is with me. We are live from Northport Aquatic Center today in this beautiful sunny day, looking like we want to be taking a dip.
Well, and I had recognized the painting on the wall, the aqua blue, right?
Yeah.
Because we did our show and had to run into that office space at one point, right?
We did.
Because for basically safety reasons.
Yeah, we experienced our lightning closure policy right here live on KDW.
Yes, we did, and it was a hoot. I got to tell you, it was that storm rolled up on us in no time, and kind of took advantage of us out there in the beautiful area of the pool. But that was kind of a good thing to see too, is because isn't it safety first at the poolside?
It absolutely is. It's a focus of Northport Aquatic Center. As beautiful and lovely as it is to enjoy the water, the focus of always being in, on, or around the water is safety first, to keep everybody moving forward and coming back to the pool the next day.
How has the pool and the Aquatic Center reopened now? I know we're getting ready to kind of forge ahead and open up the scheduling, right?
We are, we've been reopened. Last summer, we operated without restrictions for capacity numbers. And we're about to kick off a spring break here in 6 days with a full operation ready to go again.
It's a little bit of work to try to get ready for spring break, isn't it?
It sure is. We have been fast and furious training and onboarding lifeguards, getting them up to speed on policies and procedures so that we can open for all the people to have a safe spring break.
So are we short-handed on any areas at the Aquatic Center?
We are not. And luckily, we've been fortunate enough last season and this season to be able to have Devon and our aquatic coordinator get into the schools, and they do presentations at the Northport High. And that has generated enough interest that we have the pool of lifeguards not only returning from last season, but new ones coming in this season.
Well, that really helps you guys out scheduling wise, doesn't it?
It sure does. It takes a lot to operate a full day.
Yeah, and you're looking at a time frame now where everybody's kind of switching jobs and kind of moving around and trying to find what works. Having the students across the street really has to be an asset. And not only that, but gives you great exposure too, doesn't it?
It does give us exposure to get into the school. The school has been very cooperative to allow us to come in. That's not always available to other aquatic facilities. I attribute a lot to Devon and his relationship with the school. He's built a very strong core. So whenever we need something, he can get in there. He can produce the new information each year and what it's about. And we've really reaped the benefits of that.
With COVID, I know we had like a down year. It's almost like we were forced not to open, which is true. But we have a lot of things that happened the first full year that it was open. But would you consider that first full year a success with everything that happened?
Absolutely. I think we exceeded our expectations. We had great staff. We were able to get everybody in and here. We had 75,000 people through the gates to enjoy our season. We had a concession stand that blew us away with how hungry our residents were. And so at the end of the day, that all fed to a great budget year, which for me and those above me find the most success in that number right there. So I think all around it was very successful.
Where do you see the budget going this year? Because now we're open. We've kind of said goodbye to the pandemic. Mr. DeSantis has done a great job saying goodbye to that, along with a lot of other people in the state. But our state is really booming, just not in the housing market. I talk housing all day long, but when you look at other projects that are happening around the state, and then you talk to Parks and Rec is booming. All the parks are booming right now. And it's because people got reintroduced, I think, to parks because they got taken away. Anytime you take something away and then you give it back to the public, I think they appreciate what they had before more than they did before they took it. And I feel the same way about the aquatic center, is that we really didn't have it to its fullest capacity, and yet the pandemic got to shut it down. So it was out there, it was there, but people just didn't realize what it was all about. And now that you're open and you've gotten a good push out into the community, how do you see the budget and everything working with the relationship to the community?
Well, this past season, we were able to mitigate that budget down to a much smaller number than originally anticipated from the consultants that had put those numbers out there. And we were able to maximize where people were still concerned over COVID. So as much as we were open and people were coming, there were still people saying, I'm not quite ready to be that, close to other people. I think we're just going to see huge growth this year because the more and more people that come through our gates, we see, even this past weekend, we had over 200 people through here, and they're just ready to be back out and be back to some normalcy.
And do you think people are going to, and I want to say this, do you think they're going to approach the aquatic center with a different vision than they had before?
I would like to think so. I would like to think that the community has seen the need that we've met. I'd like to think that the community has seen that we've offset and mitigated some of those costs and kept things in perspective while providing a great experience for local children, not only with the ones coming to work here, but those coming to take learn to swim lessons here, those coming just for enjoyment, and fulfillment of summertime when we don't really have a lot of other things to do locally here.
Yeah, and I will say, John, not to jump in on that, but I know I've seen that. I have the fortunate side of things that I get to see the social media and the response side of things from people. And I will say that folks have been overwhelmingly positive over the last year, and the reviews have been really great on Google. If you go look at those, we've seen a lot of great comments from people who are saying, hey, I had never been. This is fantastic. Just went for the first time. It really blew me away. So I would encourage anyone who has questions, or perhaps you haven't gotten the information yet, to on our website, we have our 2021 impact report that has our numbers and our metrics from 2021 and how we performed. And I would really encourage folks who have questions to download that, take a look, see how many folks we got through for swim lessons, see how many lives were changed with the provision of our youth scholarship programs, see what we've done from a budget perspective, because I cannot stress enough how hard Trish and Devon and the whole team there at the Aquatic Center have worked to bridge that gap, right? To make it smaller so that we're really delivering what we're supposed to do to our community and do it in a way that's budget, friendly and fiscally responsible. So I am just blown away by how hard they have worked. And I hope that anyone who has questions would check that out. Please do so. There's the link right there. If you see the download our annual impact report, that's a great resource for you to see. And I'd also invite anyone who hasn't come to the Aquatic Center yet. We're going to be open in 4 days, 18 hours, 44 minutes, and 55 seconds for spring break. There's no better time. Come on out. It's open every single day of spring break from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You're going to have a great time. I guarantee it.
Well, and I kind of got to send some love you guys' way, because when everything started to open up, when the aquatic center was first built, there was a lot of a negative out there, and I think you guys have really turned a big corner with communications out. That's the hardest thing to do anyway, is to one, kind of cancel out some of the negative. It's easy for people to be negative about a project, no matter what side of the aisle they stand on. But it's really more difficult, I think, to get the positive word out. It just takes time. And then you got slammed with a pandemic worldwide, and it really kind of shut down the communication across the board, because we couldn't even really talk about parks at that point, because they were all shut down. And now we've got a fantastic, really a fantastic aquatic center, a great water park. And I've read a lot of the feedback, and a lot of the feedback is over the top positive. And I think the impact with the youth, when I grew up, we had places to go. We had things to do. We had putt-putt. We had different companies out there that kind of kept all of the youth busy and off the streets.
Yep. Our
parks are what does it here. We really don't have the restaurant brand names. Sorry, Beef O'Brady's and Wings and Rings. Yes, you have great game rooms, but they're not catering to kids. There's, my granddaughter's up in Cuyahoga Falls, and they've got museums and different things for kids to do. We've got great parks. We really do have great parks. And if you really want to see how busy the parks are, drive around and check them out. There's just a ton of stuff going on. And when the aquatic center opens up, what's the capacity in the aquatic center?
So, Trish, I'll let you take this one, because there's a little difference between on deck and in the water. So I'll let her explain it for you.
Yeah, so we have a total facility capacity inside the gates on the pool deck of a $1,200 person situation. But each body of water is licensed for a different amount of people. So we have a couple of ways we have to watch it. We have to have 350 people in the competition pool maximum for bather load. We have 250 that are able to be in the lazy river maximum. And then we have 62 in our child's play feature. So those are the big numbers we have to concentrate on. And then the rest of it would be auxiliary on the deck that we could have there. But we have to really make sure that those numbers are met. So you're going to see on an average day last summer, about 1,000 people here a day.
That's a big impact. I mean, it really is. When you guys first opened up, I know that the word got out. We weren't talking 1,000 people at the very beginning. I know that the struggle was just getting the push out.
And I think people, John, to your point, from what I remember back in the day, a whole long pre-COVID, there was confusion too, because we had to wait until we passed our final inspections from the fire marshal to set what that capacity is. And so there was a delay, not a delay in getting those numbers out, but people didn't quite understand the process that you have to wait to get those numbers. And then that was further compounded by, there were some restrictions in the early days of COVID in regards to how many people could come into the facility. So people didn't quite understand that, hey, those weren't necessarily our restrictions or what our typical capacity was for that location. It was just, unfortunately, number of circumstances coming together to kind of make that a little confusing. But I think folks are, they're used to it now. If you come by, over the summer too, you're going to see a lot of school buses. You're going to see people there every single day. We get a lot of camp programs who come by. It's really phenomenal. And if you come by in the mornings right now, you're going to see about 100 kids taking swim lessons. And I would love for Trish and Devon to talk about that, because one of our cornerstone pillars, one of the reasons that that facility even exists is for water safety. It is such a need in our community. It's something I know Trish and Devon are super passionate about. And I'd love for them to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the second graders, because it's phenomenal.
Go ahead.
Devon, speak to this one. Not only the second graders, but then go into how many kids we've had through our regular lessons.
Definitely. So as Laura said, the second grade program is through the Monda Foundation, and it's the Monda Swim program, which SWIM is an acronym for Safe Water Instruction Matters. So that way, every second grader from Northport schools, and this is a countywide initiative, but the Aquatic Center only handles the Northport schools. They will come to us for a week of swimming lessons. So we just got done with Glen Allen. Right now, we have Atwater Elementary. And they come to us in the mornings for about 30 to 45 minute waves, and we introduce them into swimming. And we get them broken out into different groups. So we work on those kids who are just scared of the water. We work on kids who are, willing to let go of the wall. And then there's groups where we're starting to teach them stroke refinement and such like that in the water. Last week, I, taught the Stingray group, which is our bottom level kids. It would be our level 1 kids there. And we saw about 11 or 12 of them by the end of that would have successfully gone on to level 2. In totality for swimming lessons, as Trish was saying, we're well on, if you include last year, this year, all the years, we're well over 650 kids swimming lessons since we've opened here. And that number to us is more than just bragging that we taught 650 kids. That's 650 kids who have been introduced to some form of water safety education at that point in time, which is super important, as Laura said, is, we want to have a safe community. Just because the pool is here, the pool's contained, and we know statistically that more kids, the pools are really not the danger. It's the playgrounds near the canals. It's their grandmother, their backyard pools, bathtubs, so we want to make sure when we're delivering our instruction that kids just understand that water is the danger. Don't think of it as the object, but it's going to be the water that we need you to be safe when you're in that. Learn how to open your eyes without goggles, learn how to reach for the wall, learn how to float when you get tired. So it's definitely something that we are super proud of. And I will brag about this year. This year so far, we've seen 88 kids take swimming lessons in January and February. And why that's so important there, John, is typically you don't see swimming lessons in Florida taught in January and February because it's too cold. But having 44 kids each month showed us that our community really wants lessons no matter what time of year they're at. So you can already expect that May, June, and July session is going to be packed out. And it's important for those families that their kids do learn that swimming because, like I told the kids today with their goggles and such, once again, we want to get them ready because danger can happen at any point in time. You're not going to fall into beautifully geothermally controlled 83-degree water at any point in time. So we need to make sure that they can react and it becomes muscle memory at that point.
And I actually love everything you're talking about. Growing up in Columbus, I've told you guys this before, I was part of the YMCA because my grandmother would give us our birthday money and she would buy us the swim lessons, the membership to the Y. And my granddaughter, who's now in Cuyahoga Falls, granddaughters who are in Cuyahoga Falls, are both now in swim lessons because that's what Carrie and I bought them. We bought them the membership to the Aquatic Center. So if you are looking to do something for your kids, you're looking to do something for your grandkids. If my mom's out there watching, please put down a comment. But honestly, there's no better reward that you're going to get for your dollar than to get your kid, your grandkid, your great grandkid swim lessons. I don't care if you think they can swim or not. There's another level with instruction, isn't there?
There's a complete different level. And, in Florida last year, we had 98 youth drowned. And that's higher than it has seen in this state since 2010. And that really hit home. It hit home. I began speaking with Laura about this back in 2020 when we first went out, saying, you know, all these parents are going to be working from home, kids are going to be out of school, you know, and we started working on campaigns at that time together to get this public information, because, you know, 9 out of 10 parents who come back after a unintentional drowning say, I just didn't know. And that's a very, very big course through all of the stories that you hear. And so we need to make sure people know, and we need to make sure that people know that, you know, most drownings in backyard pools don't occur when active swimming is taking place and when everybody's there. It's, you know, 30 minutes later when everybody's moved on to the next thing, and, you know, we're preparing lunch and people are changing, and oops, I didn't look quite back at the pool for 5 minutes. And, you know, Hollywood has really done us an injustice, because we've watched for years the help splashing in the pool. And that's really not how drownings occur. They are silent and they are fast. A slip under the water for somebody who can't know how to recalibrate themselves and get to the surface can be the last sound that's heard. And if nobody's right there, unfortunately, that's why we have this occurrence. So for here at the Northport Aquatic Center and all of our division and department, it has been a huge focus for us to make sure that we focus on that public education and awareness, along with the fun that you can have here at the water.
And
That's
two
awesome.
other points
And I
there.
want to add on to what Trish said, and John, just to tack on to your beautiful story, because I so love that, you know, your grandparents took care of you like that. And unfortunately, there are some kids who don't have that benefit in our community.
Right.
So if you're just looking to pay it forward, or you're interested in, you know, helping making swim lessons possible for a kid for whom money might be a barrier, we do have a youth scholarship program, and you can designate your contributions to go towards providing a local child with swim lessons. So that's our youth scholarship program. It's cityofnorthport.com/youth scholarship program. You can make donations. If you're someone who would like to apply to take advantage of that program, you can fill out an application online there as well, or you can give us a call, and we're happy to walk you through that process. You know, if you'd like to donate, if you'd like to contribute, if you need help applying, we're really here to be a resource to those in our community so that they can take advantage of this, because even one life lost to drowning is too many. And so we want to make sure that we're here and providing those services for people, and that there are options for everyone to participate. So if you want to give us a call, because you know I'm going to get my number in there, it's 941-429-PARK. It's 941-429-7275. And you can hit option 1 to get the awesome folks over at the Aquatic Center.
And just so you all three know, that is my mom's comment.
Oh, hi, Carol. It is a great gift. You are right.
She was watching. I didn't realize that. She must be off work today. Or she's watching at work, and we'll just be quiet about it. But
good. You gave a good gift.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of funny how that works out, because the thing that I most remember about taking swim lessons at the Y was the fact that they were good teachers. And I have, because I enjoyed swimming. I was part of the Y. I didn't take the classes to teach, but I have now, because of the fact that I learned from them and I remember all of the things that you had to do, I've actually taught kids how to swim at hotels, in parks, and where you just watch kids struggle. It's amazing what you can do and what classes that you can take to make an impact down the road, because it's still happening today. Because I do enjoy swimming. I love to get out in the water and just go. But the struggle for me is to watch a kid who says, yes, I can swim, and you realize he thinks swimming, or she thinks swimming is 4 strokes. And that's not enough sometimes to get you to safety. So can you guys talk a little bit about what you do to advance the swimmer and to really educate them as they're going through classes?
We can kind of start a little bit. I just want to preface that with also, it's a life skill. It's something that, we still have 80 and 90-year-olds here after hip replacements doing, because they're trying to get their strength back, and they can still use that skill years later.
Right.
So that's really important to know. And the other one to really know before we talk about that is what water competency is to you, because it's something different to everybody. And somebody might think that if I can, pull myself, 2 yards in, I'm competent in the water. But they've proven that more than 68% of adults cannot fall into deep water, do 3 somersaults, get to the side of the pool, and pull themselves out without the use of a ladder. So that to me is not water competency. So we have to really remember, even as adults, our conception is very different than what competency is. So Devon can talk a little bit about those skills.
And kind of what you were talking about there, John, is, and Laura and I experienced this, and we understood the need, but it solidified that for us, is exactly what Trish is talking about, is we have to get to the parents first and get them understanding and get them swimming, so we can have them, as you were saying, be that assistance at home while their kids are going through that. We tell people all the time, please engage in your kid's swimming lesson, because when they go home and they want to demonstrate for you in the pool, listen to what I'm expecting to see from the student in the class. So when they're working on that there, but we do know that if parents don't know how to swim, the chances are a lot lower of them getting their kid registered in swimming lessons. So we have taught a lot of adults here in this facility, more than other facilities I've been at there, which is really helping to close that there. Now, your question about how we move students up, we take a non-forceful approach. We have learned through our training that we really need to move at the kids' pace, but there's other items with those group classes. That's why we teach, group classes there, is when kids are watching other kids do things, they want to naturally do that there. So we never highlight the negative. We never talk, buddy, we wanted this, but you did that. We always highlight that positive, because if you give them that bar they want to get to, they're always going to want to get there with that. We have the conversation with the parents, and we have realistic expectations. Your kid at 3 years old is not going to come in here and swim a length of the pool. If that's what you're looking for, it's unfortunately not going to happen for that. Not saying your kid can't get to that, but you're going to need to give us that same energy at home to help us out when we're meeting with them 3 times a week for 30 minutes. But we really take a skills-based approach that before we put any kid into a higher level, they have to do one of 2 things. And Laura has a great video on the website. They either have to take our swim assessment, where a certified swim instructor evaluates their child, or they have to take a class here with a certified instructor where we move them up to a level. That way, when you're taking level 1, you're with level 1 students. When you're taking level 2, you're with level 2 students. You're not with a child that's maybe level 2, but really level 1. No, we make sure those kids are in the effective classes, so that way we highlight, the proper skills. And then to finish up, maybe I'm a little bit biased about our team here, but we do employ outstanding instructors. We do feedback with all of our swimming classes. I have never seen a swim survey come back with anything less than a 5 there, because our people love our instructors there. They make it fun. They make it effective. And most of the times, from what we've observed, is kids don't even realize they're actually in swimming lesson, because it's so much fun and they're just having a blast with that there.
When you're, I know that we talked about this at the beginning of the show, and I want to come right back to it, because I think there's a value to getting into schools at 2nd grade. I don't know that I've ever heard that before. And I'm wondering, is that a newer approach, or has that been around for a while?
It's been around in a lot of different pockets of the country and internationally to hit that 7 and 8-year-old grouping, because that's kind of the age where we see a big gap. There's kids who can really swim, and there's kids who can't at all. So getting to that age and into the schools has kind of been all around. Here in our area, it started about 8 years ago. There was a combination of the Monda family and the Gulf Coast Foundation who brought it to areas that we couldn't facilitate. We did have it at the Y here when we had the Y pool. We also had it in Charlotte County and in Sarasota County regular schools. We are just being able to bring it to Northport now on a large scale because we have a facility that will house it that we haven't had for a long time.
Well, and the fact that we're talking about this is because the aquatic center is here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build this to why people should really be jumping up and down for joy right now. Just take the naysayer out of the building of the aquatic center. How about we save lives?
We absolutely save lives. And lifeguards here are highly trained. They work off season every month with Northport Fire and Rescue. We focus on transfer of care. We focus on the fact that they need to know what we're doing in the water. We need to know what they're doing and expect from us once we get out of the water. So we do a lot of that crossover training. That has also allowed us a lot of outreach programs and public information venues that we've been able to go out to. We teach first aid and CPR classes. We have the babysitter class. It's all come from this foundation of the Red Cross Training Center that we now have, which initially started with aquatics, but brings all of us as instructors here to this community to have that outreach.
And we as a community are learning to embrace two things, I think. Water etiquette or water respect and the aquatic center itself. There's two things that I think are extremely impactful to anybody who knows anything about the city. We have a lot of miles of canal. We are different than everybody else. We've got to change our mindset when it comes to drowning. And we have to look at this opportunity that is in place now with the aquatic center as a life-saving, changing event.
John, I'm glad you said that because I also want to highlight the sheer need in our area. As Trish said, we haven't had a facility here in a little while that, you know, could manage the sheer amount of need that there is in our community. The number one priority in a lot of for more than 50% of respondents to our annual community input surveys, where we ask them like, hey, what can Parks and Rec do for you? One of the highest priorities is swimming lessons and water safety and CPR and first aid. And, you know, if you came on Monday, even today or last Monday, I was surprised by the sheer number of second grade students on the deck who are at that Stingray level of instruction. And these are the kids who have little to no skills at all with the water. Some of them are afraid of the water. Some of them have never been around it. You know, and I was just amazed at, you know, there's 15, 20 kids in this group who have absolutely no experience on Monday. And then by Friday, they're jumping in the water and swimming along the wall to the ladder. And I think that's just a testament to, you know, sometimes it's one of those silent things that people don't realize until they see it in action, what kind of need there is in this community. And so I have some pictures and video. I hope I'll be able to share it on our Facebook so people can see for themselves that progression. But yeah, there is a real need in this community to learn water safety. It's why we're excited about the swim lessons. We're excited about our second grade lesson opportunities. And I'd also encourage people who aren't aware to take advantage of the Float for Life program that these fine, awesome people here on the screen just launched over at the Aquatic Center. Float for Life is essential for those younger kids. And it also applies in our youth scholarship program. So I'd encourage Trish and Devon, maybe one of you guys want to speak to that a little bit.
Definitely. So we had the opportunity through our Northport Rotary. So I always like to bring them up for that because they made this really possible for us here. And the Rotary Club here in Northport is 1,000% behind water safety in Northport. So They actually flew a trainer in from Nebraska, where this is from, the Josh the Otter. I don't know if you're familiar with that there, John, the little kids book, Josh the Otter there. And the foundation that was formed on this was this couple. Unfortunately, their child drowned in their backyard pool. So they decided at that point in time, they were going to make a foundation about water safety there. So the Rotary flew the trainer in for us, and we spent 3 days with this trainer going over water safety topics and actually having a different approach than what we come in when we're doing our swimming lessons. So our approach during swimming lessons is a swim first approach there. The Float for Life program is a float first approach to the swimming there. So it's targeted for those kids that are 6 months to 3 years old. And it gets them in the water so they can roll over, they can float. They can, we teach them how to jump in with their clothes. So that way, if they fall into a pool, turn and swim to a wall. But it's a fantastic program there.
That program also allows us to accentuate some of the programs we already have. As a licensed authorized provider for the American Red Cross, we have a parent and child program for that younger age group. And that parent and child program really focuses on educating the parent about how to hold a child properly in the water, how to get into the water safely with the child every time. And it doesn't focus so much on the child float piece. So this accentuates that by adding that piece in. So you can have some one-on-one with an instructor and your child to focus on the float at that early young age. So it allows us to round out our 6 months to 99 plus age group that we service.
You know what I find amazing? The more I've sat here, I've listened to a lot of people. I'm overly impressed. One, because I'm a fan of swim lessons. I can't begin to tell you what my grandparents and my mom and my dad thrust in our heads. But we were fortunate. We were blessed to have been part of the YMCA and part of the back then. I think we were different than a lot of the kids that we hung out with that didn't have swim lessons. And that was back in the day, I'm going to date myself, but back in the 70s. I'm positive that there's probably more drownings today than there was back in the 70s, just because population is larger and people are distracted so much easier now. But we've got people out there more concerned about turtles and trees than kids swimming. And we've got 80 miles of canals in Northport. Wake up. If you're that concerned about a tree and you're that concerned about a turtle, grow up. We start talking good about what we're doing here. We've got to change the concept. We've got to change mindset. And you guys are doing that because you're proving the need. That there's a distinct difference between having a pool and saying, yes, we do, and having a pool that changes lives and embraces the community. And that's what you guys are doing with the community center. I'm so happy right now. I just want to go out and scream how happy I am. And I wish more people would.
I agree with you 1,000%. I was so amazed when I moved to Northport and we did not have this. Being somebody in aquatics for the amount of years that I have been, I moved to a sandbar, and everybody will hear it. It's Trisha's saying, we live on a sandbar. Today it's a swale, tomorrow it's a lake. The canals, the rivers, the waterways, the boating, every other person I know is on a boat or their friend has a boat on the weekend, but don't even understand the difference between a PFD and a life jacket.
Right.
So for me, we finally have this vessel that we can take this message, and I have amazing, phenomenal instructors who are out there pushing that message and getting it wherever they can. And I have the backing of this department that, when I came in and they hear me talk drowning every day and they're, oh, Trisha's going again, but they support that and they know how important it is for our community. We've got it, and we can make a huge difference in our community for all of those. And even if that's only one life that's saved, then it was worth it.
So I'm gonna ask this because I already told you that yes, I had the Y, but we didn't have a second grade program. Okay. And I lived in a town that actually had creeks, and we did stupid stuff in those creeks when it rained heavy. My mom knows how stupid we were. All right. But she doesn't even know half of the stuff we did. And so I'm going to say that when I drove down here for the first time, I used to see kids jumping off of the bridge on Biscayne to go in the water. Okay, I get it. First off, from Ohio, I didn't like gators, and I know gators are in that water, and I'm not a fan of jumping into cloudy water that I can't see the bottom of, because I have that distinct ability to jump on top of a gator. And I'm not an odds guy like that, because I know that gator likes me for many reasons. I've got 3-4 meals attached to me, but it's one of the things that I want to ask you guys: how many of you grew up in a city that had an aquatic center that started teaching at the age of, or the second grade, and had a program like this? None. So you're talking about an initiative that could only be here because we have the aquatic center, and out of the communities up and down the coast, do you know how many other communities have this program attached to their elementary schools? I mean, do they have this in Charlotte County?
Charlotte County does participate in this program, and Sarasota County participates. Other than that, I'm not aware of anyone else.
That to me is amazing. But, the average age here is still under 50. We have 5 elementary schools. Any parent that is out there right now that doesn't think that their kid needs swimming lessons, wake up. It's right here. It's not just right here in the fact that you're able to. There's no reason that you're not able to, because there's scholarships, there's other programs out there. You guys are trying to help. Other organizations are stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, let's just do this. And it all feeds into community safety. I know you're shaking your head, Trish, and I'm so happy for you. I am so happy for you, because I don't know that we talked about this before, but to me, this is a game changer. This one small topic, and it's a sliver of what you do at the Aquatic Center, but it's the most important part.
It absolutely is the most important part, and I believe that the need speaks for itself. When I came from a neighboring community, we had 1/6 of the amount of kids through those programs there that we've had in Northport. I think it's important to know the demographic here. We have so many more children. Our average age is not 60 years old. This is a spot that really, really needed it. And we've been able to get that message out. We keep pushing that message out. We even, in the giveaways for backpacks back to school, a card went in for the Learn to Swim scholarships. We've gotten every place we can, and anywhere Devon and I, they let us talk about it, we're there. If obviously we like to talk about it, because when we talk about it, it means we raise the awareness, we raise the education, and unfortunately, we'll never get the other side to say, hey, that saved my kid's life. But we know it's out there, and we know that that one child who put the life jacket on when they went on the boat before it capsized might make a huge difference. So
and it does make a difference there. Our fire chief actually posted a video on Facebook there, and one of our former employees, before I worked at the city, her son did experience a drowning situation. He's still with us, but one of her big things was to get him into swimming lessons. And on there, it made my entire whole weekend when I read the post, because it came up on my Facebook, and she's like, Thank you so much to Devon for teaching my kid how to swim. So you're exactly right. We get to witness every day on this facility. And I think Trish mentioned it is, we would love to be seen as the coolest aquatic center with slides, but we're so much more than that. That's just those little section of what we do. We have first aid classes, swimming lessons, the second grade program. And as Laura brought up earlier, Trish just mentioned it. And one thing I tell people is fill out the scholarship form online. If money is what's preventing you from having your kid take swimming lessons, fill out the required scholarship, submit those documents for that. And 9 out of 10 applicants get approved for that scholarship. And that gives you 4 programs throughout the year that you can use in spring, summer, fall, and winter. That could be the difference. So we don't want people to have cost to be the scared, so they're not signing up. But please fill out that scholarship form if you're wanting your child to experience those lessons.
I also want to chime in on what Devon's saying. I know sometimes a barrier for some folks too is perhaps they have a child with needs or special needs, or they need accommodations for a lesson. And that's something that both Trish and Devon are familiar with as well. So please, if you have questions about that, specifically for your child, give the aquatic center a call. Let us know what your needs are, and let's have a conversation about how we can be accommodating to that. And again, our number is 941-429-PARK. So that's 941-429-7275. And you're going to select option number 1 to get the awesome people over at the aquatic center.
So I'm going to take a stance here, and I'm going to come out and say, the naysayers, you've had your say. I'm good. I heard every negative possible thing that you could say to me. I understand your stress. Put it to bed, because we're not backfilling the pool. It isn't going anywhere. Why don't you jump on board and use your energy appropriately for a change and start talking positive about changing someone's life? I'm going to tell a quick story, because it has nothing to do with swimming, but it has to do with changing someone's life. Because I worked in level 1 trauma. Phil was one of the first people I took care of as a new trauma tech. I had to take care of him for 6 months because he was in a gang. Okay. We have gangs here, and they can get shot, and they do. 6 months I took care of him. 6 months he went to lunch with me in a jerry chair, and I was his friend. He became a manager at a hamburger shop, and about 6 months after his release, his friends came in, of course, shot up. And I said, all right. And of course, you kind of get a family feel, even with the gang, because you took care of their brother. Phil was working. He wasn't in the gang. He left the gang because I took time out. We talked. We had a relationship. That's what you guys are doing. You guys are changing people's lives and making it better. And you're saving people's lives. And you're preventing the parents from hardship. That's why we need our community to wake up. Our community needs to embrace this because it matters. Not because we have it and we didn't want it. Maybe we have it for a reason. Maybe it's the 80 miles of canals. Maybe it's the I'm going to run and jump in and my parents don't know. Wonder how many kids are doing that. Mom, yeah, I did a lot of stupid stuff. How many kids in Northport are doing stupid stuff because we don't have other things to do? Get them into swim lessons. What's the worst thing that's going to happen to them? They're going to learn how to swim. So when you send them to the beach with their friends, they get it. We have so many risk factors. So many risk factors. that we can't look at the aquatic center as negative anymore. And you changed, I wasn't looking at it negative before. And you just want to make me throw water on their fire so bad because I truly get what you're doing. You're just changing our community for the better.
Just to add to it, if you have older kids, we also have the Learn to Kayak program. So, you know, they're still getting water safety, but they're doing stuff that's a little bit older. We've got the Battle of the Northport Stars coming up where, you know, youth can come in and play water basketball and have kayak races in the lazy river against some of our, you know, fire department, lifeguard, and police department teams. We're trying to hit all those demographics. So it's not just the Learn to Swim piece, but we're going to infiltrate you with water safety in every one of our programs, every one of them.
That's good. We also have the junior lifeguarding camp too, John. Yeah. So for anyone who has a preteen who's not quite old enough to be a lifeguard, you can come and get trained. And then if they pass, you know, they go through the camp and they pass it and get certified in CPR, then they can volunteer at the aquatic center. So when they're old enough to be a lifeguard, they can join us as a lifeguard. So that's also a Bright Futures thing. I wanted to hit on a couple stats. Is that okay? Do we have time?
Sure.
So I wanted to share because you mentioned the local problem, and actually we were just reviewing some of the local statistics here. And I just want everyone to be aware that not only did we have 98 in the state of Florida, but in Sarasota County, there have been 65 deaths from unintentional drowning in the last 5 years. And there were 17 alone in 2020. So that's a huge number. It is here locally. And for every one of those unintentional drowning situations, it's estimated that there's another 8 drowning incidences that are non-fatal that still can, of course, have impacts on people. So just wanted, those are statistics from the Florida Department of Health. I wanted to share those so that, you know, folks know we're not just making up this need. It is an issue in our area. And I want people to know where to look for that information. The other thing I wanted to share is we do have a free event coming up for people who are interested in learning more. We have our May Day Drowning Prevention Expo and our Splash into Summer that's coming up in May. That's May 7th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Aquatic Center. It's free admission for City of Northport residents to the Aquatic Center that day. You can come out, learn more about how you can be safer in, on, around the water, at home, learn about the barriers you should be having up to prevent unintentional drowning at your home. And also you'll get to come and check out the Aquatic Center for yourself. So let me see, anything else I'm missing, Trish? Any other upcoming things?
I think the big ones I mentioned just before were that the kayak program that we run every year. That's a big one for the youth. We've got our regular ongoing water fitness and aqua Zumba classes and those things that are running frequently. They kind of change. You got to keep up with that calendar to see what's current. And then again, that Battle of the Northport Stars, where those youth teams can come out and we can get them some education in some different ways that makes it fun and exciting for them.
John, I think you'd love Aqua Zumba. I can picture you in the water doing that dance.
I could see myself doing it.
Yeah.
and let me tell you, I can't believe my hour usually goes fast. When you said, do I have time? I thought we did. But we've chewed up really an hour in extremely fast time today, because I don't even know what happened to it. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I am so glad that you guys came on. I really appreciate everything that you said. Please, everyone, share the video on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitter. Please share it out there. The more this information gets out, the more lives you can save. Thank you, Trish. I really appreciate it. Big man back there, I know you know I love you.
Yep.
And Laura, you guys just do a fantastic job. Keep up the great work. This is John Rawlings from WKDW Radio saying, have a great day, be safe, and get swim lessons. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.